I think it's incredibly interesting to see how advanced China is thinking regarding ESG. Come to events like this where we see the high-level conversation that's going on, I think is incredibly encouraging to see how it is being looked at and adopted moving forward.
It's of utmost significance that the leaders, and by leaders I'm talking about the CEOs of companies, I'm talking about government leaders, that they meet, talk seriously about ESG development, and this is done here.
I think Nanjing has a huge amount of positive aspects regarding ESG. I mean, firstly, it's a beautiful city. So basically, this environment where people can come and work and live in, I think really helps with the whole aspects of the societal elements. Also with the increase in the infrastructure, the way the infrastructure has been built, the fantastic environment that people will be able to work in, transport in, enables us to look at low carbon aspects of transportation factors. The growth of the EV market as well, and the infrastructure around EV also supports that whole aspects of improvements and moving the development, moving that factor of carbon emissions from scope 1 to scope 2, whereby then the government's able to really understand and be able to control much better those carbon emission impacts.
I think Nanjing, and I'm extremely impressed about the fact that it's a pioneer city in terms of ESG. In particular, we just need to think about smart city. So Nanjing is all about smart city, smart cars. We also have, of course, this high-tech island in Nanjing on the river. So this is pretty much amazing for me, and it's extremely important also for carbon emission reductions, everything. Another thing that impresses me very, very much is the commitment of Nanjing to the reduction, green finance, green development, green projects. So this is something absolutely highlights Nanjing.
I understand that Nanjing looked at the digital world. I think one of the aspects of starting to look at the digital world and digital aspects, things like BIM, what we call BIM, BAM and BOOM, where we're establishing 3D models, the digital twins of each of the assets across the site, whether that's on a master plan or a whole, or just a single site, whereby you can actually look to help reduce the aspects of construction costs, waste costs, all coming to the concept of having a total neutral assets, so you can actually reduce those carbon emissions.
For companies, my advice is take ESG very, very seriously. Point out, I want to emphasize one thing. When a company takes a look at the ESG system and what actually should they do, they have to focus, they have to do a materiality analysis. So they really have to check out, this is really from industry to industry, from sector to sector different. They have to analyze what ESG aspects are material. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Some of the other aspects would be looking at waste control. We talked earlier about water waste, but also the physical waste that's being produced. I think the expectations would be to look at how you can handle and move waste much better, not just looking at the handling the waste, but also the procurement that leads to the waste, and with that, the revenue stream. So looking to try and diverse as much as possible that waste from landfill to more of a recycling process as well. And with digitalization comes transparency. And this is the key thing for investors these days, whether it's particularly on the international markets. Investors are very much looking at how they can get their data, the trustworthiness of that data. And so by having digitalization leads to transparency. And so that transparency and how you handle that transparency is definitely a big thing and a big topic.
I think a very, very good step forward would be when we talk about investment. I like a lot the idea that banks, we have to involve banks, and banks, when they finance, when they provide loans for ESG related projects, those should be at a lower interest rate. So I'm much more in favor of rewarding ESG related practices than to force someone.